He is breaking down in tears because of Meghan. Meghan is now emotionally abusing him to an extent where he cannot control his emotions in public. Breaking right now, Prince Harry has been criticized for his bad behavior at the Invictus Games after an emotional breakdown sparked by Meghan defying him in regards to her Instagram posts where she exposed his children in the public eye. But there were a couple of moments that showed Harry's arrogance, especially when he was alongside the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Let's have a look.
That you can take that back to Ukraine with you. I said the same thing last time in Düsseldorf, but I know there's new faces and new competitors here. So the whole world, this whole Invictus community and the whole world stands with you. So take that back with you to Ukraine. And thank you for taking the time to come and join us, guys. It would not be an Invictus Games without you.
Thank you.
So that was Harry thinking he could dive into politics. But look at what happened here when a young guy just tried to get a photo with Prince Harry, who's apparently the people's prince. No, 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 says the heavy-handed security man. Let me bring in Brittany now, editor of the Royal News Network. It was a very bizarre end to the Invictus Games, Brittany. I think it is absolutely clear that Harry was not coping emotionally. There had been far too much pressure with Meghan when she was there. She didn't support Harry at all. She was completely overwhelming him, phone in the face all the time, lots posted on social media. But the tears at the closing ceremony very much reminded me of Princess Diana's breakdown in public when she would be having rows with King Charles. It was like he just couldn't hide his true sadness and his true despondency over what's going on in his marriage from the world.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And the Invictus Games, of course, I'm sure brings a lot of emotions for him. You know, to be fair to him, he is a veteran and everything. But what I think is clear as well is that if you actually watch the Invictus Games and some of the events, I mean, I know they tried to happy talk it, but they're empty. Like there was a sitting volleyball game where there were like 4 stands on one side, just like 1, 2, 3, 4 like places, minimal sides on the other. People are not engaging in this. And so I feel like, at least I hope, that the Invictus Games is taking a really hard look at the dismal output from the community towards the veterans. People Harry claims he wants to support and lift up. And there's nobody there to cheer them on. They're only there for the opening and closing ceremonies because they want a concert. They're not really there for the veterans. And so looking at all this, so knowing probably a lot of the tensions that are going on behind the scenes, Meghan is desperate for this huge launch. I'm sure Harry is hearing over and over and over again how much she needs this to be a success, how much he needs to go along with her on this, and that she just needs to promote it on her Instagram because that'll make everything better, even though that doesn't really make a ton of sense, to be quite honest, because she doesn't seem to care at all about the Invictus Games. So I think there's a lot of emotions and tensions going on definitely behind the scenes. And I think to see Invictus, I would argue, starting to fail a bit should really be a wake-up call for Harry as well.
Yeah, indeed. I think it should be a wake-up call from him, big for him. But the problem is, when I talk about this, Brittany, I'm actually not saying it with any sympathy or empathy for Harry. I mean, look at the absolute misery in that image, for example. But it just really did strike me that Harry does have a lot of Diana's emotional instability in him. Now, with Diana, though, it was so different, Brittany. She was so young. I mean, let's just take a look at this picture again and remember that the reason, and this was in her words to Andrew Morton, by the way, the reason that she burst into tears in public was not because she was missing Charles, who was going away for a long period. It was because just before he went away, she had discovered that he was back in contact with Camilla Parker Bowles. And I just feel like Harry isn't breaking down in tears because of the Invictus Games. That isn't normal, Brittany. It's happened a lot. He's breaking down, and he's totally coped with the emotions of the Invictus Games. He is breaking down in tears because of Meghan. Meghan is now emotionally abusing him to an extent where he cannot control his emotions in public. Let me stress again, and I think anyone who is a regular viewer of this channel knows, Brittany, I have zero sympathy for Harry. Zero. He was warned, but I just do believe that the emotional toll of this unhappy marriage is really reaching breaking point.
Well, when you look at their relationship, really, everything about them has been a battle. And I
Mm-hmm.
actually wrote about this sometime last year, is that they've made everything for themselves so insanely difficult. Everything's a struggle. They have to battle through everything. And that's part of their whole Romeo and Juliet delusional fantasy that the two of them share. But, we all know how Romeo and Juliet ended. They both died. So that's not really a good analogy in some ways, because for Harry and Meghan to lean on, because it's going to lead them to disaster too. You can't live in that delusional fantasy forever. And I had always imagined that, at least when it comes to Harry, he would always begin to resent her at some point, because he realized what she cost him. She cost him time with his grandparents, time with his father, his brother, his niece and nephews. Meghan has cost Harry so much, his place in the royal family, his purpose in life. I think he's just rudderless. And then he has Meghan dictating all these things to him, putting so much pressure on him and them, because they need so much money, because she needs more trinket jewelry and more designer clothes and all these sorts of things to feel fulfilled. And he never can keep up with it. And he never can she's never happy. And so he's constantly, I think, trying to make her happy, and it's making him miserable. And so I'm sure he's just praying that this is a success, because if it's not, things are just going to go from bad to worse for them at home, because she needs all this money, all this accoutrement, and he just can't provide it to her. But that's the relationship they set up. They knew this going in. Harry was warned time and time again by basically everyone in his life that she was bad news. He went with her anyways, and now he's got to suffer with the consequences.
But first, you know how often I talk about the need for free speech to be protected, but I've been thinking a lot lately about the need for personal protection online from snoopers, bad actors, and hackers. But don't worry, I have found the fail-safe solution. And what's more, this VPN is a life changer when it comes to providing you entertainment and information from anywhere in the world, wherever you are. So let me introduce you to Surfshark, an incredible, easy-to-use service that encrypts all your internet traffic, meaning your online activities stay safe, allowing you to shop, to stream, to browse, to conduct your banking online in complete privacy. But the benefits of Surfshark go way beyond keeping you safe online. This service allows you to access your favorite entertainment or news shows or channels, or access, by the way, to streaming services like Hulu, iPlayer, HBO Max, and Peacock. Or if you've got a streaming service already, but your favorite show happens to be geo-blocked, maybe on Netflix or Amazon Prime or Disney Plus, within seconds, you can actually be watching as if you are in another country. This is such a good service. Really helps, by the way, if you're traveling for work or on holiday and you want to get your favorite local content from home, including sports, which is very often subject to geo-blocking. Plus, Surfshark is an insurance policy against creeping censorship in many countries which block some of these services. Effectively, you can watch anything, anytime, anywhere. It is true freedom. There's also so much you can do with VPNs, right? It's a way to save you money and get the best deals from websites that change their prices depending on where you're buying from. So you can actually sign in to multiple countries and check the price before buying. There are other benefits too. Surfshark is available to use on unlimited devices, which means your entire household, so your husband, your wife, your kids, can stay safe with just one subscription. And there are over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries, meaning a world of choices at your fingertips with 24/7 customer service if it is your first time using a VPN. So go to surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. What's more, Surfshark is so confident they're the best VPN in the world that you can give it a try for a full 30 days. And if you're not entirely satisfied, you will get your money back. So go to www.surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. But now, back to the show. And Brittany, the thing is, it's our fault, apparently. Well, not yours, actually, Brittany, because you're not in the UK. But it's our fault here in the UK that the coverage of the Invictus Games was so bad. So look at this post from a reporter who revealed that the outgoing Invictus Games CEO has said that it has to be an ambition to host the games in Ukraine at the earliest opportunity after the war. Dominic Reid also criticised UK coverage of the games, saying he was very disappointed. And you responded, Brittany, saying Invictus needs to stop blaming the media for its failings. The coverage was disappointing because the Invictus Games itself is wildly subpar in its PR, social media marketing, etc. They let the games become the Harry and Meghan show, and the media is just following their lead. And Brittany, I said amen to that. This is the ultimate example of trying to shoot the messenger. And as the Daily Telegraph revealed over the weekend, Brittany, Harry and Meghan were not working at all with Team Invictus. They were doing their own thing. They have hijacked the games to try and help the launch of Meghan's Netflix show. Now, Harry might be upset about that. And yes, in fairness, he did send her home. But, and this is the big but, it's not good enough. He's allowing his legacy to be destroyed by his mad wife.
Exactly. You look at the Invictus Games right now, and you can't name a single competitor. You don't know what countries are there, except for maybe a handful, and some of those are kind of the obvious ones. You know nothing about the Invictus Games. And that is not the media's fault. That's Invictus's fault, because I was watching their social media. And yes, occasionally they would maybe profile a competitor, but they did not do that as much as they should have. Like what you see during the Olympic coverage is that they sort of intersperse the competitions with profiles on the individual players, basically, are those people competing. And so Invictus hasn't done that. We know nothing. And that is Invictus's fault. It's not anybody else's. They can't blame anybody else. They need a better strategy, because the strategy is Harry and Meghan. Like what I see is that Invictus is telling people, oh, come and watch two people watch a sport, because they're not coming there to watch the competitors. They're basically sort of advertised to come and watch Harry and Meghan kiss face while other people are competing and actually doing a sport. And that's why you see nobody attending. I was there in 2016 at the Invictus Games. I did the prelims of volleyball, sitting volleyball, and the finals. And I will tell you right now, from what I remember, at least the spectator half of the court was extremely full. And this time when I was watching some of the coverage, you just saw empty stands everywhere. And that is the fault of Invictus. They can't get people to attend in person. If you can't get people to engage online, you cannot get people to attend in person. And that is a huge problem going forwards. They can't blame the media. This is all on them. They have to fix the Harry and Meghan problem, and they have to fix their own coverage issues. Because yes, Harry and Meghan can be there, but you can't just rely on them to make things happen, because then it becomes the Harry and Meghan show. When you search through the photos and Getty Images, all you see are Harry and Meghan when it comes to Invictus Games. It's sort of changed up after Meghan left, but they're all of Harry and Meghan. You can't even cover it as a journalist if there are no pictures of the competitors, and that's on Invictus.
Brittany, a big development in terms of the potential deportation of Prince Harry, maybe another reason he was in tears as Invictus closed, with the Mail on Sunday reporting that Trump would actually go one step further than deportation, would actually back legal action, criminal prosecution against Prince Harry if he lied on his US visa application about drug use. At the same time, the Archewell Foundation have really tried to hit back at this New York Post and Heritage Foundation reporting that they have effectively been donating money to the Democratic Party to curry political influence via their charity, which has now seen these calls for a congressional investigation, which I absolutely believe there should be. But what's so funny, Brittany, is they released this high-minded statement saying how ludicrous to think that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle endorsed anyone at the last election. But they are forgetting that Meghan has been very public in the past about her feelings in regards to Donald Trump. Watch.
Yes, of course Trump is divisive. Think about just female voters alone, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think it was in 2012, like, the Republican Party lost the female vote by 12 points. That's a huge number. And with as misogynistic as Trump is and so vocal about it, that's a huge chunk of it. You're not just voting for a woman if it's Hillary just because she's a woman, but certainly because Trump has made it easy to see that you don't really want that kind.
And before the 2020 election, Brittany, there was an endorsement in all but name. We knew exactly what these two were doing with this video.
Now, we're just 6 weeks out from Election Day, and today is National Voter Registration Day. Every 4 years, we are told the same thing, that this is the most important election of our lifetime. But this one is. When we vote, our values are put into action and our voices are heard. Your voice is a reminder that you matter, because you do, and you deserve to be heard.
This election, I'm not going to be able to vote here in the US. But many of you may not know that I haven't been able to vote in the UK my entire life. As we approach this November, it's vital that we reject hate speech, misinformation, and online negativity.
So as we work to reimagine the world around us, let's challenge ourselves to build communities of compassion.
Tonight reminds us of how important it is to watch out for each other, to care for each other, and to inspire each other. We are incredibly proud to join you in this historic moment in time.
Thank you.
So, I mean, Brittany, come on. All of a sudden, Archewell, on behalf of the Sussexes, are trying to say, oh no, they don't endorse politically. What a joke. Why on earth were they giving all of this money to Joe Biden's daughter, for example?
Oh, yes. When you look at Harry and Meghan, I mean, especially Meghan, we know exactly where she stands politically. That is not a question. That is not an issue. That is not an argument. We know exactly where she stands. We know exactly that her money is going to go and support those causes. And I mean, this happens on both sides of the political aisle. But 100% their funds are going to go to not neutral or politically unbiased organizations. They go most always exclusively to organizations that you can call incredibly biased, leaning towards the Democrat Party. And that's not necessarily totally bad but for them to argue that they're unbiased or neutral is just absolutely ridiculous. And I think when it comes to Donald Trump and Prince Harry, I would tell Harry and Meghan right now, tread carefully, because this administration seems to be watching everything very closely. We have everything going on with Doge and everything. And so Harry and Meghan and where they've sent their money, what money they might have received in part with USAID grants is all going to come under scrutiny, I think. And if Harry, let's say, has a particular visa status, if he has a diplomatic visa, diplomatic passport, something like that, I think people will be completely and utterly enraged by that, because they are just continuing to act as if not only are they biased politically, but they're trying to act as if there's royals of the United States when we know they only lean one way. And overall, I think people are sick of that. We fought a war almost 250 years ago now, so we don't have to deal with royalty. And we definitely don't want Harry and Meghan here sort of dictating to us what they think we should vote on and those sorts of things. We're sick of it. We're tired of it. And I think Harry and Meghan should take the knee here and just sort of move off to the side.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.